The Phillies take game one against the Brewers and enter the third wildcard spot. Joel Embiid trolls Sixers fans while James Harden still wants out of Philly. And the Eagles back to training camp in just under a week. That and much, much more when we are back here in just 10 seconds. What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Phaithful Phanatics Show live here on DSM-Media's Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter channels. If you guys are new to the channel, first and foremost, make sure to check us out on Twitter at DSM_media. Hit that follow button. We greatly, greatly appreciate it. If you're new to the channel, again, make sure you hit that follow button, and then subscribe to the new YouTube channel like my man D-Rab is doing right here, DSM-Philadelphia. Or DSM-Media-Philadelphia. I am one half of your host here, Dylan Davis. You can find me on Twitter at DylanJD98. To my right, my faithful co-host, Scotty. You can find him as well at Scotty Drown. My man, happy hump day. And what is going on as I get my surroundings and my gatherings here on early this Wednesday morning?
Yeah, man, we're still adjusting to being back. I feel like I know we just talked about like going to sleep at a different time because I'm still on like Vegas time. I think you're still on vacation time. Like we got to get back in the groove and get to sleep on time so we wake up and have all the juice ready to go in the morning.
Yes, sir.
But, I'm feeling good, man. It's a great Wednesday. The Phillies are on fire. Kyle Schwarber lighting shit up and you know, it's good vibes here in Philly, despite all the Sixers mess. We got the Eagles,
which we'll get into
up here soon. You know, everything is coming full circle here. But great spot in the week. Hopefully, we have some of this Sixers action, you know, settle down at some point soon. If nothing else, if they're not going to trade anyone anytime soon, just shut the hell up. Like maybe we could just have that happen. But nonetheless, man, happy hump day, my brother.
Yes, sir. It's a very fair point. I'm almost at the point where I want to say, man, put your phone, like just throw your phone away. Like stay off social media, stay off Twitter, stop doing these interviews in July because it's not working right now, right? But
phases, man.
We're gonna have a roller coaster of a show here in terms of emotions. But we'll start positive. We'll start high with the Phillies. They take a 1-0 series lead over the Milwaukee Brewers last night with a 4-3 win. Kyle Schwarber, first pitch, leadoff home run again, makes a jumping, diving catch at the wall out in left field. Who knew he was a Gold Glover out there, Scotty? Bryson Stott. Cannot continue to say enough about him. We spoke about him at length on Monday when you brought him up, and he just continues to deliver. Alec Boehm was good. Trey Turner was good. Bryce Harper was good. And then, dude, something that does not get talked about, the resurgence of Craig Kimbrell this season has been un-effing believable.
Yeah.
And in all season where the Phillies went out and signed Trey Turner to a $300 million deal, and in off season where they go out and sign Taijuan Walker, Craig Kimbrell is somehow the most important addition at the moment right now.
Yeah.
He's 16 for 16 in save opportunities, and I believe 8 of his whatever the number is, his last 8 or 8 of his last however many have been in one-run situations in the 9th inning. Craig Kimbrell has been lights out. Bryson Stott continues to deliver, and Kyle Schwarber is, in fact, a leadoff hitter. That's what I took away from last night. And Aaron Nola had a very, very good start. That is the bottom line. First start out of the All-Star break. For whatever reason, this is how Topper wanted to line up, you know, the rotation at post All-Star break. Knowles had an extended time off. I mean, Jesus, probably 10, 11 days since he last pitched.
Yeah.
And he comes out and he delivers, gets into the 8th inning, man. Obviously, an infield single, what could and probably should have been ruled an error at first base. You combine all that, and he only got 1 out in the 8th inning, but he was great nonetheless.
Yeah, no, I think that was one of the bigger takeaways from this game. You get a solid outing by Nola against a good quality team at that, right, in the Milwaukee Brewers. So just seeing him come back after the All-Star break, look composed, be able to get through 7 full innings and then part of the 8th there. That's an amazing start. Kyle Schwarber, man, you talked about it. He's a leadoff hitter. I mean, he just continues to prove his worth in that spot. Everybody seems to continue to talk about it, seems to continue to try to pigeonhole him into like a 5-hole in the lineup for whatever reason with these dream lineups that they put out on Twitter. But you got to give it up, man. Just give it the fuck up. Like, we went to the World Series with this man leading off. Like, you got to give it up. Let it alone. This is the way it's going to go. They're winning baseball games. He's hitting the ball out of the ballpark constantly at this point. And yet we still see the antics on Twitter. You got to let that go. Trey Turner last night obviously had a 2-hit night. You like to see that from him. He's a guy that I saw it on Twitter. I can't remember who tweeted it out, but I agree with what they said. I wish I could give credit to him, but just want to see him turn into more of a contact type of hitter, right? Just get on base. Like, that's what we need to see from Trey Turner. Put yourself in position to be able to score from other people, that allow other people to drive you in. And I think you're going to see him with a lot more success in the second half. That's the crazy part, man, with Trey Turner, because I remember, Joe Giglio, it was like about a week ago. He's like, yeah, let's trade Trey Turner for Juan Soto. And it's like, first of all, Juan Soto doesn't want to come here without Trey Turner here.
Right.
That's the first part of it. But on the other side of it, it's like, dude, this guy's in his first season with the Phillies. This is like a star-studded cast of a lineup. He has to find his spot in this lineup and what he's supposed to do in his spot.
Have we learned nothing from Nick Castellanos?
Exactly. You see the season that Cassie's having in his second year with the Phillies, and yet we still just can't give Trey Turner the benefit of the doubt, man. He's going to get it together, and last night was a good start to that.
I believe since the start of July, we're almost 20 days in, he's hitting 287 or something around that since start of July, end of June. So he is starting to pick it up. You've seen him on multiple occasions the last couple of games with multi-hit nights. He's come up with a couple clutch RBIs. He had the clutch diving catch against
the Padres.
The Padres on Sunday afternoon. Thank you. So he's been better, man. So Trey Turner, that nonsense just needs to stop. I mean, you got to give somebody more than 2 or 3 months in a new team after getting paid and everything like that. But I think he'll be fine. He looks better as of late. Yeah, there's still some questionable at bats, and I think your contact point is everything because that's who he is. Like that's the confusing part. That's the one confusing part. Like if the power numbers were lacking, and he's never going to be a power guy, but Trey can rip you 17 to 20 home runs per season. But if that's lacking, if the stolen bases are the aggressiveness is lacking, that's all well and good. But the contact is what I'm not understanding. And some of the swing choices and the plate approach is what I'm not understanding because he's always been one of the league's most best and consistent hitters at the plate. And he just doesn't feel like that right now. But I think he'll be fine. The Kyle Schwarber thing, man, I'm not going to get into why he shouldn't bat fifth. We have beat that horse to death, into the ground, 6 feet deep. I can't discuss it anymore. I don't know what to say that will change people's minds. There's nothing that they can say to change my mind on that. He should not be a leadoff hitter. I don't know what more you guys want.
Like, what else do you need to prove?
What more evidence? The only reason people don't like him leading off is because it's not traditional, and they think there's a traditional leadoff hitter in a guy like Bryson Stott further down the lineup. That's the only explanation. Guys, they gave you almost 2 months of Kyle Schwarber not in the leadoff spot. How'd that work out for you? 8 games under 500, 7 games under 500, 4th place, 5th place, people freaking out that the season is over. He goes back to the leadoff spot. And they're what? 28-11, 27-11, or something ridiculous since him being back in that spot. He's hit, I'm being serious. excuse me, since I went away on vacation to the shore and they were playing the Athletics and had that week, Kyle Schwarber has hit, I believe, 5 leadoff home runs.
Yeah.
5.
Yeah.
He's now homered in 4 straight games. First time ever of him as a Philly. Yesterday was first pitch, but you guys still can't seem to figure it out because you're so obsessed with the fact that a slower, low average type of hitter like Kyle Schwarber leads off 1 time per game. He leads off the first freaking inning. Outside of that, we're rolling the dice in terms of who made last out, how many hits, how many. He might never lead off the next 3 or 4 at-bats the rest of the game. But you guys obsess over it. It's laughable to me at this point, man.
And yet it is laughable because, you talk about Bryson Stott. Of course, he's your contact guy. He's going to get on base. We know that with Bryson Stott at this point. He's batting .306 right where he's at. So why do we need to move him? He just had a multi-hit night right in his spot. Like, we gotta let these guys get comfortable in their spots, man. That's part of it too. It's not just Schwarber, but moving these other guys all around as well.
And let me throw this to you, Scotty. Something else that people just don't want to think about, right? Why don't they want Schwarber in the leadoff spot? Because he hits under 200, right? He's slow and he hits under 200. Doesn't get on base a lot, right? Well, what makes you think if Schwarber came up with bases loaded and 2 outs or runners on first and third with 1 out, outside of occasionally popping a home run, that he's going to put the ball in play and come up clutch for you in that spot and drive runners in? Do you know who hits over 300, to your point, that you would love up to bat with runners in scoring position? A la last night, first and second, nobody out, up RBI double, opposite field. Bryson Stott.
Yes, sir.
So who would you want in the middle of your order with runners on more? The guy who hits $180, who you don't trust, or the guy who hits 305, who has a much higher chance of putting the ball in play and driving those runners in? Yeah, it might not be a moonshot of a home run like the first guy.
Yeah.
They don't think about that.
Yeah.
They want the home runs in the 5-hole with 3 runners on. They don't think about the fact that the better contact guy, the higher average guy, you trust more with those guys on base in terms of just getting a bloop single, something pulled down the line. That all comes into play. They just see Kyle Schwarber and they go, oh, 30 home runs in the 5-hole could be 10 3-run home runs. It doesn't work that way. I can't talk about it anymore. You're driving me nuts.
Yeah.
Driving me nuts. I can't even believe we're talking about it on a day, the morning after he hit a first pitch home run, because there were still people complaining last night.
Yeah, you sent me tweets, man, of people just like moving him to the 5 spot in the lineup. Like, it's not going to happen, so quit dreaming. Like, that's the first part. But like, 2, just stop trying to mess with the lineup at this point. Look, Topper did all of the things that he was going to try in the first couple months of the season. You saw him trying different things, and he found what worked.
Doing? Freaking out because they were losing.
He went right back to what got him to the World Series. Like, it's very simple. Like, I don't understand why the proof isn't in the pudding whenever they win games with Kyle Schwarber leading off. Like, it's as simple as it gets,
we can all wonder why that is, but the bottom line is that they do. And they are continuing to win. Like, you guys wanted to win so badly when things were going wrong. Now we're winning, and now you want to tweak things because it doesn't look right to you.
I think there is something there as well. Like, with him leading off and being one, if not the leader in your clubhouse, right? Him and Bryce Harper are the leaders in that clubhouse. There's something about your guy leading the game off. There's something there, right? Setting a tone. Right. Exactly. So, I don't know, man. The Phillies are now in the 3rd wild card spot. It's a good feeling to have them in the playoffs officially. Yes, now they just have to hold that spot. Half game up on the Marlins. So it's exciting time right now for Phillies baseball, and it's why it's so annoying about the Sixers and everything right now, because it's like stealing attention from this team
Absolutely.
that is just playing some really great baseball, man. But how many more games do we got against the Brewers in this series? 2 more?
2 more, yeah.
And then we got the Guardians
road.
going the road, and then the Orioles back home. So you got some
It's a tough stretch.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough stretch. It's a good quality team.
Which is so weird because I heard how like not much easier, but how the schedule kind of softens up for the Phillies in the second half. And I look at the first couple series and I go, oh, 4 against the Padres, who are, underperforming, but it was still the Padres with all that talent. 3 against a division leader in the Brewers. 3 on the road against the Guardians. And 3 back at home against the second highest win total in baseball, or third highest.
Orioles, who are balling, bro.
No, it's pretty funny, but no, and I would urge Phillies fans to listen. I box score watch right with other teams. I like check the standings every night with you guys, but I would urge people to stop doing that because their seeding doesn't tell the story. They're 10 games over 500. They're on pace to win over 90 games. I know we shout out our man Mark Henry Jr. on here a lot. And again, he had a tweet the other day with a screenshot of the standings and was like, I see the Phillies and 4 frauds. And it was all the teams around them. And it's the Giants in the first wild card spot by 1 game.
Which we know how that goes.
Reds. It's the Marlins who have now lost 4 or 5 in a row. They're in free fall. The Phillies just slid above them. It's the Diamondbacks who they're a good young baseball team. They're not competing for a World Series right now like the Phillies are attempting to do. The team right behind the Phillies, the Reds, who just lost twice in one day to the Giants. So it's where they stand, the third wild card spot, maybe slightly out of the third wild card spot. We all know that fluctuates by a half a game to a game right now. My expectation is that your Philadelphia Phillies are the number 1 wild card seed heading into the postseason this year. That's my expectation right now at the end of July.
Yeah, and I think there's part of this situation where they do control their own destiny. So it's like
absolutely.
You don't have to focus on night to night for each of those teams, right? The Giants, the Diamondbacks, so on and so forth. The Marlins, for example, you get them right at the end of this month. So you have a chance to control your own destiny, set yourself apart from those teams. And look, man, it's as simple as what we've discussed all season. We've been waiting for the Phillies to wake up and put a run like this together to get themselves out in front. They're now 10 games ahead of 500, and this is where they're supposed to be. That's the simple truth. You look at this lineup, you look at the pitching staff, you look at what the bullpen's been able to do this season, which has been very impressive. Craig Kimbrell obviously closing. He's been an all-star level player. Like, these are the things we're talking about, and this is where this team belongs. They just went
and they're still missing 2 of the most important pieces in the bullpen right now.
Yeah, Alvarado and
Bilatti's not there. They're missing about 4 bullpen pieces at the moment.
Yeah,
so I want to throw that out there.
Talk about some of the guys that helped them get to the World Series, right, and helped them through the World Series. You're missing a couple of those guys in the pitching staff as well. They'll be back. This team is in a great spot right now, man. It's actually crazy when you think about how they started this season compared to where they are right now. That month of June was insane.
Well, that's why it's so ironic and funny, man, that people still find things to complain about, because I wish we could just backtrack and it was so like just find all the receipts and tweets. And we were complaining as well, but about not hitting the doomsday button like some people were in May, right?
Yeah.
If you told those people in May when the Phillies were set 6 or 7 games under 500 and looked like a disaster, that they would be 10 games over 500 on July 19th, what do you think they would have said to you?
They would have called us crazy.
Oh, they would have laughed in your face. But that's the point about just sitting back and not over-examining each and every single baseball game that is played when the season takes like half a calendar year up.
Exactly.
So relax, pump the brakes. Phillies third wild card spot at the moment. 1 game out of the top first wild card spot. 4-game win streak. 10 games over 500. Back at it tonight against the Brewers. 2 more against the Brewers. Then on the road versus the Guardians, like Scotty alluded to. But my man, let's move on to maybe not the more interesting topic, but it kind of is. But the little more annoying topic of the show today, and
That
that is the
that for
state
sure.
of the Philadelphia 76ers. So let's get into it. Obviously, James Harden opted into his contract a couple weeks ago. We broke all that down. He wants to trade. He wants to trade out of Philadelphia, specifically to the Clippers. Daryl Morey and the Sixers are working with him to get that done. And then over the last 2 weeks or so, you've kind of seen Michael Rubin's party, and you've heard the reports, and you've seen the pictures that, you know, the Sixers teammates were together, and Harden's spoken to Morey, and they're trying to, it's looking more and more like he's going to remain in Philadelphia this year after all the noise. And then he still wants out. Shams comes out and reports, wherever he got this from, whether it's Harden's camp, who knows, but Sham gets this report that the relationship between James Harden and Daryl Morey is fractured. It's severed, and it does not look like it's going to be reconciled. He still wants to go to the Clippers. He's remained adamant about that. During the same time span, one Joel Embiid decides he's going to do an interview and come out and allude to the fact that he just wants to win a championship, whether that be in Philly or anywhere else. So, of course, Sixers fans react to that. And a few hours later, Joel Embiid says that he was trolling. So let's start there. That's the starting point for this conversation, Scotty. Do you believe Joel was actually trolling when he made those comments?
To an extent. I do believe that he was trolling to an extent, but I think there is some truth to it. There's just no way that he isn't thinking about that possibility, right? Like, in the back of his head, did I expect it to come out this offseason? Did I expect him to share his frustration out loud this offseason? I did not. Yeah, I kind of agree with Marshawn Lynch. He's feeling exactly how we are. And that's kind of where I'm at with the situation. He wants Daryl Morey to do something, and he needs Daryl Morey to do the right thing. He needs Daryl Morey to keep this team afloat and keep this team as a title contender, whether that's moving Harden out or not. So I think that was part of it, but I do also think that there's a part of it that knows Joel Embiid knows Philadelphia, and he knows how we will react to certain things that are said. And he knew what he was doing there in that interview with Maverick Carter, right? He knew that the entire city of Philadelphia would flip upside down by him saying that. And I think that is part of it. I think part of it is to put Philadelphia on notice as well, right? Embiid's a bold guy. He is a troll. But to let us know, like, hey, snap of my finger, in this city, this basketball community, this franchise will be turned upside down if I demand a trade out of this city. Mm-hmm. So just understand who's in control here. And I think it was really almost like a power move by Joel Embiid to see how much power he has over the fan base, over the organization. Because after he says those things, Daryl Morey has to call him and talk to him about his future with the Sixers, make sure that he's still bought in to this team competing for a title right here in Philadelphia. So overall, I think, sure, there was a little bit of trolling in there. I think it was a little bit of a power move, a little bit of a flex. But I think at the end of the day, when you think about how this team has transpired the last few off seasons of drama, just nonstop, I think he's a little frustrated as well. I think there is some truth to that statement of him being open to that possibility. And at this point, man, you look on to next offseason, depending how this offseason finishes out, depending how next season goes, next postseason, it's not out of the realms of possibilities that he demands to trade out. And I think that was what was shocking. It's an offseason too early for him to even be saying that out loud. But nonetheless, we know Joel Embiid is not a guy that shies away from saying what's on his mind.
Yeah, and it's the wrong offseason to say that. And listen, when he first came out and we just took the interview at face value and Twitter was exploding, yeah. I was annoyed, and then I wasn't annoyed, and then I was annoyed, and I wasn't annoyed. And I got to be honest with you, Scotty, I'm a little bit annoyed. And here's why. Okay, so much to look into here, because if if he's not trolling, right, then A, stand on your word. Don't come out on social media after you say something that you meant.
Yeah.
Didn't like the backlash and tried to play it off as a joke. If he's not trolling, again, read the room.
Read the room.
And learn that this was not the offseason for you to kind of make that kind of statement. I'm not saying he's wrong for being frustrated. I'm not saying he's wrong for possibly wanting out now or at some point. But my guy, you scored 17 points in a dreadful wash of a Game 7 after not touching the ball for the final 4 minutes of a closeout game on your home floor. This wasn't the offseason to make those comments. Again, I'll repeat, read the room. Because maybe it was a direct message to the 76ers front office. And it forced Daryl Morey to call him. But guess what it felt like also? It was a message to us.
Yeah.
And whether he meant it or not, that's how we're going to take it. Read the room. He didn't do this when Ben passed up a dunk. He didn't do this when they got swept in the bubble.
Yeah.
He didn't do this last year. He did this now when he was out of all of the second round losses, out of all the playoff lows. This Game 6 and 7 were the most blame to go towards Joel Embiid for losses.
Yeah.
Read the room. Now, if he is trolling, grow up.
Yeah.
I'm at that point.
That's the biggest thing for me, man.
Up. Because I thought you did a little bit. And listen, I'm not saying I don't love the personality of Joel. I'm not saying I don't love when he trolls other teams, when he dunks on somebody and there's a funny Instagram post and a funny Instagram caption. I'm not talking about that stuff. I'm talking about this, where you want to play games with the city and the fan base. And maybe I sound like a whiny baby because I'm a fan of the 76ers. But after the season ended and how it ended, I'm pissed off, dude. Grow up. I thought you did when I watched you cry with your son in your arms in front of a sellout crowd who was going ballistic for you for winning your MVP that you so well deserved. But then you do this. So you either weren't trolling and it wasn't the time for it, and if you weren't, you should stand on your word and not say you were joking. And if you are trolling, again, read the room and grow up a little bit. Because it's the problem is now the whole organization has taken on this personality.
Yeah.
Tobias Harris trolling Sixers fans. The president of basketball operations, who we're going to get to in a few moments, trolling Sixers fans. All while the face of the organization is trolling who? It wasn't the time for it, man.
Yeah, it's honestly, man, it's honestly disingenuous to the fans that sat here and rode with this team for so long and in back-to-back seasons of just getting outed in the second round. It's honestly disingenuous because they become the most unlikable team in the city easily. They're the most unlikable team. You look across the teams at the superstars, Jalen Hurts, the Bryce Harpers of the world, of the city, I should say. Those guys are on a different scale than Joel Embiid at this point because not only his failures, but the way he acts about his failures, man, the way he goes about his business, it is very childish. I don't know if it's just like the NBA as a whole, because you see it across the league where these guys are just so buddy and just it's honestly become like this cryptic, like the NBA, right? NBA Twitter is just so cryptic from the players and just always putting out these little tidbits about, different things, right? He tweets out after this, we're together forever or something like that in 5 days or whatever. I don't even know what it meant.
It's supposed to be about soccer, but
right. And but it's obviously read the room again, right? But he's trolling at the same time. This right here, though, I do feel you, Brett. I feel you because
I agree.
Over the years, we've asked for a better supporting cast for Joel Embiid. But what I would say, man, in this game where Melton, Harden, Tucker, Tobias, they're shooting 22% in this game. This is the game where Embiid steps up. He's the MVP. This is the game where they needed their MVP. 26 points is great, but it's about when you scored them. And he did not touch the ball in the fourth quarter. Now, a lot of that is on his teammates. I get that. But where is Joel Embiid in those timeouts, in the huddle, saying, get me the goddamn ball, I'm the MVP? You guys are shooting 22%. That's part of being a leader. And I guarantee you, man, you go out there, we see Giannis score 26 and his team loses. We see Jokic score 26 and his team loses. They're catching all of the heat. And I'm tired of this dude getting babied, honestly, because he hasn't earned this untouchable status in Philadelphia. I saw, I think it was Jackson, I can't even remember his name, Jackson something, on Twitter said, you know, the comments on this post are insane. Embiid should be untouchable for what he's done for this city. To an extent, my man. Like, yes, he's won an MVP. He's brought life back to basketball. But we've plateaued with Joel Embiid. We've been hitting the same point for 3 to 4 years now. And that makes him not untouchable. Nobody is untouchable with that type of status until you win a championship. And that's what I'm not understanding here, because you had a lot of back and forth between fans. There's fans of, I guess, just Joel Embiid fans saying, you know, don't turn your back on him now. I'm going to keep receipts, or I'm going to hold the door. I'm going to gatekeep.
Their back,
You're not gatekeeping me, man. I honor the badge, bro. Like the name on my hat is the Sixers. It's not the Embiids. Like, that's what people don't get, and that's what these players don't get as well, man. There's just no loyalty in this game. It's just really weird. And once again, it's disingenuous to the fans to sit here and not be able to read the room, sit here and throw these comments out here like it's nothing, like it's not just going to turn the city upside down. Why do you want to cause more drama?
That's what
we have enough. We have enough of it.
That's where I'm at with it, man. Listen, no one's turning their back on Joel Embiid, dude. Like, he's literally, I told you this countless times. He was, or still is, my favorite athlete in the city. Like, there's so much that goes into this. It's just, at some point, I have to start to question the common denominator. And now you want to troll everybody. It's just not the time. That was my point about this. It was not the time for this. Whether he was trolling or not trolling, he's either immature or should stand on his word. He should read the room. Yada, yada, yada. Now.
It takes me back, literally, Marshawn Lynch's comment here, it just takes me back to the PJ Tucker thing in game 4 or something, where he's just yelling at him at the free throw line. And, you know, that's great from PJ Tucker. And, you know, you want to see that leadership from your guy that's part of the win. Why does your MVP need that?
Yeah.
Why does your MVP need to be embarrassed on national
television? I thought about a lot of different things, man. And listen, he's more experienced. He's more grown. He's gone through more heartbreaking losses. I'm not saying every time in the playoffs I expect Joel Embiid to cry, and I know the way it ended at the buzzer. But how do I watch you bawl your eyes out and become a meme earlier on in your career, and then after the closest you've been since then to getting to the Eastern Conference Finals, you get blown out, lay an egg, and then are laughing and hugging Jason Tatum? Man, do that shit in a week from now. Do that shit the next time you see Jason Tatum.
Yeah.
I'm with you. I hate the buddy stuff on the court. You're all friends. I get do it off.
Buddy. Look,
don't do it on the floor while I'm sitting at home like my heart just got ripped out of my chest from another Sixers second round loss, and the star of the team is laughing, embracing a dude who just dropped 50 something on him.
They're buddy until it's time to recruit and get people to come to Philadelphia.
Yeah, right now I can't get anybody here. Now, listen, got to move on because I'm not. This wasn't meant to crush Joel Embiid.
Absolutely,
I'm just annoyed at the timing of the comments.
I did want to ask you this because I thought this comment was interesting. Dirk and Joel have the same sort of career path, MVPs who underperform in the playoffs. Do you think Joel Embiid has a run like this in him? Do you think that he is the guy? You still believe in Joel Embiid?
Yeah. No, 100%. That I was reading Brett's comment too, but no, I 110% still believe in Joel Embiid. It's just, it's too soon. That's where the frustration is coming from.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean. I know what you mean. And
I still, start of next season, in 2 months from now, I'll flip the page. I'll be back to I still believe in the talent that he is, man. Like he's an MVP. If anything, he's a bona fide top 3 to 5 player in this league, in my opinion. Still,
yeah,
like that game 7 doesn't change anything for me.
Yeah,
in terms of that, but it hurts still. And now these comments are just too soon to be made for me to just be like, whoa.
It hurts.
We'll be okay because of Joel.
It hurts because in those moments in game 6, game 7, that feels like the hurdle that it's right there, right? It feels like the hurdle is about to be crossed. And then we go right back down, right? And that's the frustrating thing.
Oh, and I would like to say to Brett,
these are great stats. Like we can do this. We can do this with Harden too, right? Like games 1 and 4, like Harden averaged this. Like that's fine. But in the biggest moments of the series, we need our MVP to be there. Well, the torn LCL, that's part of it.
I threw that to you after the show last week. Like I agree. Like I do think we have to sit back at some point in time. Maybe again, not yet for me, but in a couple, and have the discussion of, man, do we really think that that's what Joel Embiid would look like if he's fully healthy? Absolutely not. But in the heat of the battle and in the heat of the moment, you're not thinking about his knee. You just want to see them wrap this up.
Yeah, and that's fair. And to be fair, he obviously playing on a torn LCL is a lot harder than what it looks or whatever the case may be, right? But that's just part of the equation, the injury after injury after injury. And hopefully Daryl Morey's supplying us with all these centers. We get to see a healthy Joel Embiid in the postseason because that's the key to everything. That's the funny part about all of this. James Harden and Ben Simmons out the door and this, that, and the third. It's all about Joel Embiid's health. If he gets to the postseason, he's healthy, he's able to play at his top level, the Sixers are going to have a very strong chance at a championship because he's that caliber of player. We just need to get him to that point. I don't know if that is, Embiid's fault for wanting to play more in the regular, whatever the case, chasing that MVP. It's probably a combined effort that got us to that point. But it's got to change in the future. And you see Daryl Morey, to his credit, on that stance, it's a little overkill with 5 centers. But he's stacking up some depth there behind Joel so we can hopefully get him some more rest during the regular season. Because the regular season means absolutely nothing for this team anymore. Absolutely nothing. Doesn't matter what seed. They can get the first seed, best record in the NBA. It means nothing because we can't believe in them until they get to that second round and we see what they look like.
Right. Yeah, man, it's just rough. But anyway, to move on here to another guy who I just read the room.
He can't read the room, man. My God.
First we had a GM who got banned from the league. Then we had a GM who had a burner. Now we have a president of basketball operations who is knowingly and openly and publicly trolling the fan base. But that's not even my overall beef with him, Scotty. Daryl Morey comes on to the Anthony Gargano show the other day and does an interview with him. And in some part of the interview, he decides to say that he understands fans being frustrated, but he would ask them to not judge the roster in July, judge the roster in season and into the playoffs. And that's fair, Daryl. Your job's not done. Yeah. There's 2 pieces you could still potentially trade. You still have a roster spot. Fair. but maybe don't troll them before asking them that. The crumble cookies post. I know it happened a little bit ago. We were both away. I'm still not over it. What the hell are you doing? This comment, like this wasn't like Joel, like this wasn't like Joel Embiid made this comment. Like, oh, some Sixers fans would trade me for box crumble, blah, 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 because I'm always hurt. And then Daryl did that. Saw us in Tyrese Maxey and some people, whatever.
Yeah.
This is a dude who isn't worth the money, who scored 2 points in 42 minutes of a playoff game this year, in a closeout playoff game, excuse me, who has been rumored and linked to multiple trade situations, who has a movable contract. And you're basically, that message wasn't just a troll, Scotty. It was just validation that Tobias Harris isn't going anywhere.
Yeah.
It's not trading him.
How do you trade him after you post that? I mean, that's a complete hypocrite, right? Like, how do you trade him? I mean, yeah, man. And then, like Darius is saying, people shooting themselves in the foot. You know what it is for Daryl Morey? You know what's crazy about that, man? He's putting so much pressure on himself. Like, he is putting so much pressure on himself in this city. And it's the last thing you need, because his team already has a ton of pressure. And, same thing for Joel and his comments, of course. But, Daryl Morey is just a really funny guy. He's a really funny guy. To an extent, you understand where he comes from, because he talks about the Harden situation. He talks about how he's not going to accept anything that would take Sixers out of title contention.
And that's
right?
he shouldn't.
Fair. That's fair. That's exactly what you should do as a GM. But the Twitter antics, man, that stuff is childish.
Did you see him troll about the centers?
Yes, the Dwight Howard video. I mean, dude, that shit is not funny. Like, it's not funny. You brought back Montrezl Harrell. That is a problem. Why did we bring Montrezl Harrell back? Why? What do we need Montrezl Harrell for?
And you signed Petrusev.
Yeah, like, for what? He wasn't even one of the top 4 players on the Summer League team, man. Like, that is what's crazy to me. That's what's crazy to me. And then, they signed another center to a 2-way contract, Tubelis or whatever. I mean, how many centers? It's really a troll job.
One roster spot available, man. So if there is no trade,
we have zero wings.
Yeah. If there is no James Harden trade, if there's no Tobias Harris trade, you have one roster spot available for that wing.
We have 0 wings. Is Korkmaz going to get some run at
and he wants to troll. Like, you're trolling the fact that you're doing a bad job.
Even the Paul Reed thing, right? And, like, mind you, I thought it was funny how he took it down to the deadline to announce it, even though they had signed the contract the day before. Yeah, but, like, just the out the mud thing. And it's like he just came to Twitter and that was like his moment, right? Like, out the mud. Like, I got him to sign that contract. Dude, you re-signed a player that you were supposed to re-sign. Like, congratulations, dude. You have a top 75 player that is demanding his way out of this city right now, and you're going to pat yourself on the back for Paul Reed. Paul Reed's my guy. I'm happy we signed him back. I'm happy we matched. Whatever. I'm happy Paul Reed is back.
Yeah.
But that is his golden moment this offseason, right? Is re-signing
I
Paul
just
Reed.
don't get what would be wrong with Embiid, Paul Reed, and Mo Bamba. What was wrong with those 3 centers? What did you bring up Petrusev for? What did you bring back Montrezl Harrell for? More money for?
For more money. Like,
come on. You couldn't sign Jalen McDaniels, who you traded Matisse Thybulle and draft compensation for at the deadline?
And he said, what did
Jalen McDaniels sign for, Scotty?
Like 5, what? 4 or 5 million? I mean, it was like 2 million more than what Patrick Beverley got from us.
It's like 2.5 more than what Trez got from us.
It's so funny. It's so funny because he talks in this interview with Gargano. He talks about the perfect players to be beside Embiid, right? Wings that can space the floor and create off the ball and on the ball. Bruce Brown was available. To Brett's point in that comment, he was available. He didn't have any offers on the table. Denver Nuggets go out, sign him. He's a key piece to the championship run. These are the things that we're missing out on in the margins, and this is where Daryl Morey is failing. He talks about the wings that the Sixers need, yet we don't have one, not even one with potential on the roster. Tobias Harris is not a wing. He's a power forward. PJ Tucker is not a wing. He's a power forward. Daniel House is not a wing. He's a power forward, undersized. Like these guys, we don't have a wing on the roster, and it's kind of insane for me to, I told you going into this offseason, what did we need to add? Athleticism, length.
What?
A wing.
Nick Nurse's prototypical. Like what seemed like something that would fit Nick Nurse's system? Long, athletic, rangy wings.
Nick Nurse's system, yeah. Jalen McDaniels walks out the door.
A lot of success with in Toronto. Oh, are we making Paul Reed a wing? Like what is happening, man? Yeah, he did. Like
it is mind-boggling. And the crazy thing, and this is maybe where Morey is standing, and maybe this is why Morey is the way Morey is. If he goes out, somehow gets his Zach LaVine, right? In a deal for Harden or Tobias, whatever the case may be.
He could change the outlook of this team like this.
Like that. And all of a sudden his praise is back. So he does have the cards in his hands. To get to his point, to be fair to him, he does have all the cards in his hands.
That's a great transition into the last guy of the segment being James Harden. Because how does he get there? How does he get that in return and flip the switch on this offseason?
Yeah.
It doesn't seem like anything's available right now.
Yeah.
Scotty? Like, unless he found a way to make this a 3 or 4 team deal where, well, I don't even know what, but let's just focus on the James Harden aspect of things. Because A, I don't even know what this dude's doing anymore. And then B, what the Clippers are expecting in return. It's a whole clusterfuck going on right now.
The NBA, man, the NBA is a joke, man. Like, it's really comedy. Like, you talk about James Harden, he's demanding out. He feels disrespected. The relationship is fractured with Daryl.
Where does he want to go?
He wants to go to the Clippers that weren't going to try anything to go out and sign him.
They didn't want to pay him.
They didn't want to pay him. They don't want to give up Terrence fucking Mann for the guy. Terrence Mann! This guy like
or any of their first round pick draft capital.
Any of their first round picks. So that's where your value is for the Clippers, James, and you're just begging to go there.
You're disrespected that Daryl Morey and company didn't want to get hit with more tampering fines and penalties. So they didn't speak with you about your contract heading into free agency. You get upset, you opt in, you want out, and the team you're choosing, yes, I know why. It's his hometown. Like, we get that connection. Bro, they are so much worse publicly offending and disrespecting you than anything that the 76ers possibly could have done.
You have their fans don't even want this man. They do not. Their fans don't want to give up Terrence Mann for this guy. Like, that's the crazy part. Terrence Mann's a solid player, but that is not a deal breaker for James Harden, man.
Slowly. Terrence Mann. What are we doing, bro?
How do you think you're going to get him if you're not willing to give up Terrence Mann? Like, if that's your drawing point, right? That's the line in the sand that you're drawing.
Scotty, listen, I know we want players because we're trying to win now, so we're not looking at draft capital. But, like, and I know he's declining and he's getting older and he's making all this money. Rudy Gobert went for what? Hold on. Robert Covington. I'll say that for you one more time. A guy that couldn't even play on this Clippers rotation that's being thrown in as basically a salary filler in this deal, okay? Robert Covington, just a few short years ago, went for 3 first-round picks. Let me repeat myself. 3 first-round picks for Robert Covington.
Are you kidding?
And we can't get Norman Powell and Terrence Mann for James effing Harden? I don't care if he's 34 years old. I don't care if he's a pain in the ass.
Meanwhile, bro. Meanwhile, the Celtics get Kristaps Porzingis and 2 first-round picks for Marcus Smart. You know what I mean? Like, make this make sense. Marcus Smart's a fine player. He's got the tenacity. He's a dog. Kristaps Porzingis.
He's not even better than Porzingis. Porzingis is the better player, and Boston got first-round picks.
Oh, you can't make it up, man. It's like the NBA hates the Sixers or something, man. Like, I don't know. Like, in reality, the only type of deal that should be happening between the Sixers and the Clippers is a James Harden for Paul George type of deal. Like, that's reality. They are 2 players in the same caliber at the same type of stage of their careers where they're injured fairly often, right? Can't stay on the court sometimes. Had playoff failures, doesn't show up for their team in the playoff. Those are the guys that are interchangeable. That's where the trade happens. Yet the Clippers are drawing the line of the sand at Terrence Mann.
And I would like to point out the fact that, and I told you this before, I know he's a nice player. He's still young. He shoots well from 3 percentage-wise. Terrence Mann doesn't even do it. I hope people realize that.
Yeah.
The Terrence Mann, Norm Powell, Robert Covington
unless
package,
you're giving me a whole new roster.
ain't even doing it for me for James Harden. And they won't do it. I would like to point this out as well. Terrence Mann, again, still young. Terrence Mann's been in the league for 4 years now. He's played 4 full seasons for the Clippers.
He's 26.
Scotty, he's a career 8-point per game scorer. 2 assists, 3 rebounds, career. So what are you selling me on? The fact that he shoots 38% from 3 and he can play D? Like, yeah, he'd be a nice 3-and-D player for the team. I'm not denying that.
He's a nice fill-in
but
piece.
You won't trade an 8-point per game scorer. This wasn't 1 or 2 years. This is 4 seasons in the league. 8 points per game for James Harden, regardless of his age and decline right now.
I swear the NBA is like broken, man. It's broken.
And you can't make
it make
sense.
Get Damian Lillard for Tyler Hero, who the Portland Trailblazers do not want him.
Who, by the way, is not better than
Tyrese
Maxey.
He's not. It's not
He's
even.
He's just whiter than Tyrese Maxey.
It's so annoying, man.
Can we go back? Can we go back to when a second-year Tyrese Maxey hunted this dude and beat the number 1 seed Miami Heat without James Harden or Joel Embiid on the floor playing that game?
Yeah.
Listen, I'm not saying that one matchup. I'm not saying that one matchup and one victory makes the case.
The playoff numbers the last 2 seasons are not even close between those 2 guys. Tyrese is averaging like over 20 points. Tyler Hero's down at 12. Like, it's not even close. It's actually funny. I wanted to go back to James Harden for a second because I wanted to talk about some of the people that are like, we got to get him out of here. We got to get him out of here. He's going to put on the fat suit. He can't afford to do that.
No.
Like, he cannot afford to do that. I get he's done it before. He's done it in different situations. He is 34 going on 35 years old. He cannot put on the fat suit when he has 1 year left on his contract.
Right. No
he has
extension.
To go out and get that bag next year or he's not getting it.
Yeah. No team.
Simple.
What team that didn't want to pay him this year is going to want to pay him a year further down the line in his career and watch him do the same crazy
for the third time in a row
bad teammate antics that he's done in the last 2 to 3 years? 4 teams in 3 years this dude would be going on. But if he does that, some team's going to give him a 3-year max next offseason. You're out of your mind.
Can't trust him.
The Sixers don't have a ton of leverage, but I promise you they have more leverage than James Harden.
Yeah.
If Daryl Morey does not get a deal that he finds sufficient enough for James Harden, whether that's a star player like he said and we all want, or stuff to flip into a star player, right? James Harden should stay in Philadelphia. And hey, if you don't want to play, if you want to show up and be a bad teammate, well, I'm not going to play you if I'm Nick Nurse. I'm just going to sit you down here. And now you're really not going to get your money next year.
Yeah.
So, James, You can work this shit out for your teammates who he actually seems to care about them.
Yeah.
He actually seems to get along with Joel and Tobias and Tyrese. So maybe, just maybe, he'll show up for them if no one else. But that's the only option you got, brother.
Yeah.
There's nothing else.
Yeah. He can't pull a Ben Simmons. He doesn't have 4 years left on his contract. He can't do that. Like, it's just not possible. I do agree with Brett here about the fear, right? Going into next offseason, there's been a lot of talk about clearing out those 2 max slots. Who are you going after?
That's what I'm saying. I don't know, man.
Like, what? Pascal Siakam's a free agent. Jaylen Brown is set to be a free agent, but is he really going to be a free agent? No, Boston's going to get his extension done. Klay Thompson at age 35. I mean, these are the options for next year. Like, it's not all let's just clear cap space and do this.
That's the only thing people look at, Scott. That's the only thing they look at,
man. It's weird.
Oh, well, we'll have all this money. No one wants to give up. It's the same thing to me. It equates to when fans tell me, like, oh, well, we should trade for this person. Well, what
are you giving
up? What would that? What would you give up? Oh, I don't know. Or they give me some asinine deal, and I say back, well, why would so and so take that?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. Yeah, because you're not. All you're saying is that the Sixers should go get this player. There's no logic behind it. You're not thinking into it. Nothing. It's the same thing. All some people see is, well, they'll have 2 max slots available next year to put around Joel. Who? Go look at the list. Who?
Buddy Hield.
Come on, man.
Buddy Hield, finally. We signed him for a max contract.
Oh, man. All right, Scotty, before we get out of here, the Eagles, obviously we talked about them on Monday's show. We kind of, if you guys missed it, go back, watch it, or, feel free to drop your comments on your expectations for them this year right now. But we kind of talked about, are our expectations reasonable for the 2023 Eagles coming off, a 14-win season, #1 seed, Super Bowl appearance, yada, yada, yada. Is it reasonable to kind of expect what we're expecting to, win your division back-to-back years for the first time in 2 decades, to maybe win the conference again, win a Super, whatever your expectations are they reasonable? We came to the conclusion that our expectations are reasonable. When you look at this roster construction, when you look at this team, when you look at, the rest of the NFC and the quarterbacks in the NFC. So basically, I just want to ask you, with 6 days to go before training camp, how are you feeling? Just excitement-wise.
Yeah, I'm excited, man. On a scale of 1 to 10, I'm probably at about 11 because I'm ready for me to forget about the Sixers and really have something to focus on here. But honestly, I'm excited to see how these some of these position battles play out. Running back, who's going to be the starting running back? Who's going to be wide receiver 3? Who's going to start for Isaac Seumalo, his spot on the offensive line, right? Defense, I'm looking forward to seeing that safety battle, the linebacker battle. Is Nakobe Dean going to be the LB1, right? Is he going to be the #1 guy on that linebacker unit on the defense? Interested to see where they plug and fill guys like Nolan Smith that can kind of play in multiple spots. But overall, I'm just excited for a good culture, a good there's just a good aura around the Eagles, man. And it starts from the top. It starts with their leadership. Nick Sirianni, Jalen Hurts. Those guys, they lead from the top. They're going to come out and give their all. And I'm just excited to see them take the field. I think they have another level that they can hit as a unit. We talk about how great they were. And, I had a couple of days to marinate on what we talked about on Monday. We talk about how great they were last year. This was a lot of these guys' first time being on the Eagles, like AJ Brown's first year on the Birds, right? So you're going to have another off season where he got to build a connection with Jalen Hurts. Same with Smitty. He's going into his 3rd, 4th year in the NFL. He's going to have an opportunity to build on what he did last year, which was a 1,000-yard receiver. So I'm just excited to see what this team can turn into, what they will look like going into this season. And I just feel like, after discussing what we did on Monday, just feels like the sky is the limit once again. This is a team coming off a Super Bowl trip. Obviously, it was a failure, but they want to get right back. You listen to the Dallas Goddard. They're ready to get right back. That is the goal. And I know they're going to have a target on their back, but I think they feed off of that type of stuff, man. It's not like some of these other teams in the city where they crumble under the pressure. These guys love the pressure, and that's what I love about this Philadelphia Eagles team, man.
Yeah, no, I agree. And to Lynch's comment, no, I don't think that'll happen with this team. I think they are. I think they're too talented to begin with, Scotty. Like I think
we felt this way last year, right? We felt this way in a sense. Like if Jalen Hurts can be the guy, this team's gonna be legit.
But I don't even have those. There, we felt excited about them and the AJ Brown acquisition and Hassan Reddick and Bradbury. Like we felt amped, but there were little question marks. If this can happen, if that can happen, I don't have any of those questions.
Yeah.
So, no, I don't think it'll happen. I think this team could roll out of bed talented enough, throw on some slippers, and go win double-digit games. That's just – I know the schedule's tough. I think that's how goddamn talented they are. And to your Super Bowl point, the last thing I was going to say here is kind of just – if people keep talking about – and, yes, I know how difficult it is to just get back there. But people keep talking about this Super Bowl hangover nationally. I thought that only applied to those who win the Super Bowl. Forget Super Bowl hangover. They're Super Bowl hungry. Like you just take the leader of this team, for example. Take Jalen Hurts, for example, right? Because some guys have a ring, right? Lane's got one, Kelsey's got one. There's guys on this roster, Fletch, BG. Not that they don't crave another one, but they have theirs. Take a guy like Jalen Hurts, who just seems so self-motivated and the hardest working dude in the league, and this and that, and this leader. You're telling me walking off that field didn't turn him into an even different type of human being, take him to a different level of hungry and motivated? So, man, I don't think we've even like thought about that at surface level. Like, what if he takes another leap? Because because I haven't even thought about that. I just thought about him being consistent, like because he was
same as last year.
He was an MVP caliber quarterback last year. I just picture him, consistent with last year's play and a great roster, and that's good enough to compete for a Super Bowl there. Yeah. I'm not even thinking about the fact if he's even better.
Yeah. Guys as talented and hardworking as Jalen Hurts, they're going to have an ego, right? And that's something that's going to come with a very great player. And Hurts obviously has the persona, right? He's a very humble and well-spoken dude, but he's hopping in Jordan commercials. He's hopping in other I think he's like a Columbia guy too. He's getting his bag elsewhere as well. He's putting his face out there on GQ magazine and stuff. So he has an ego that comes along with this hardworking personality. And I don't mean ego in a bad way. Every great player has an ego. When he sees Patrick Mahomes and the way Patrick Mahomes has been treated after this Super Bowl win, Mahomes has this crown on his head that is like irremovable, right? Yeah. Especially after this Super Bowl win, and rightfully so, because he's dominating the NFL. The Chiefs are dominating the NFL the last 5 years. And I think Jalen Hurts is a competitor. We saw the video of him sitting on stage with Patrick Mahomes, and Mahomes tells him he bought his Airbnb.
By the way, it's a baller move. Like,
that is a very baller move. He said he bought it 3 months ago before the playoffs. Just
be so self-confident, like, hey man. Yeah.
Jalen Hurts, I feel like Jalen Hurts is just sitting there. And then he probably sees that video, over the last couple of days, and he's like, man, he did say that. He is that confident.
And then he backed it up.
This is what I need to be. This is what I need to be better than in order to be the best. And I'm not saying that he's going to come out and be better than Patrick Mahomes, but he's going to try his damnest to do so. And that's something we can appreciate and look forward to for Jalen Hurts. To your point, he has another level that he can reach, right? Whether that's choosing the right times to run the ball even more, being more efficient with those decisions, or being efficient with his decisions downfield. We saw them take a lot of deep shots last year. Maybe he hits some more intermediate routes that turn into deep ball. Like, these are the things that are going to change. The processing speed, right? Getting the ball out quicker, knowing where your guys are. All of this stuff can improve, and I expect it to, man. That's the crazy part with this team.
I know. Me too, man. Me too. But less than a week till the Eagles report for camp. Cannot wait for that. Obviously, each and every day, once that starts, we'll be talking about all the news and everything, and all the highlights coming out of camp and getting into the preseason with that. Phillies continue action tonight at home against the Milwaukee Brewers, looking to win yet another series tonight and then potentially go for a sweep tomorrow afternoon. And the Sixers just continue to be somewhat of a trolling mess.
Nuisance.
With that said, that is
Turf
going to
talk
wrap
tomorrow.
up. Turf Talk. Yeah. Good plug, my man. First of all, go catch last night's episode of Scotty Talks NBA with my man Scotty and friend of the show, Zach Noble. And then check out NFL Turf Talk returns for yet another season. Third season now? Yeah.
Yes,
Third season of Turf Talk returns tomorrow night. We will be live every Thursday night throughout the summer. And then in the regular season, when we be live every Thursday night and Sunday morning on NFL Turf Talk, breaking down everything NFL related, not just Eagles news. Guys, don't also forget to check out our friends over at Manscaped. Use promo code DSM at checkout for 20% off your total order and free shipping. Again, over at manscaped.com, plug in promo code DSM for 20% off your total order plus free shipping. For myself, for Scotty, for DSM Media, have a great rest of your day.
Brett, we love talking.